Hello everyone and welcome back. So in today's video, I'm going to walk you through how you can implement a payment system in your React Native Expo application using Paystack. So if you are building an application and then you've gotten to the point that you will need a payment feature or functionality in your application, then this video was meant for you. So for this and more, let's dive into it. Alright, so I've already set up my application, okay, which I'm not going to cover that in this video. I have a separate video on that, you can check it out, okay. So when you come to our application or our page, right, our YouTube page, and then you search for, where is it? When you search for setup React Native application, right, this is the video and I cover everything that you need to know about getting your application up and running. Okay, so you can check that video out, and once you are done, I think we are good to go. So I'm just going to open my terminal to start my Metro bundler. Great. So I'm just going to type npm run start here to start my bundler, and I'll be running the application on my physical device using Expo Go. So you can download Expo Go either on Play Store or App Store. Alright, so our bundler is ready and I'm just going to scan it with my physical device, right? So as you can see on my physical device, I've launched my Expo Go application. So I'm going to click on scan QR code and then I'll scan it. Yeah, so as you can see, the application is building and it should be done in a few seconds. Alright, so this is the current state of our application. We are basically displaying a text on our screen which says welcome to Hub, right? So what is the next step? So before we start, right, I would want to say this. A couple of days ago or a week ago, I found out people were kind of complaining about this particular implementation. They were like they were facing issues up and there. So I decided to look into it and then I came up with a solution. I mean, a simple solution, right? Yeah, when you go to Paystack and other communities or forums, people are going to suggest numerous answers or solutions to you, but trust me, this is the best one. I mean, it doesn't take you long, right? And it wouldn't stress you out. So let's proceed. First of all, I would like us to look into Paystack, right? Just to know what they are about. So you can just head over to paystack.com. So the basic idea or knowledge I have about Paystack is they provide us with payment services. Okay, so when we are building our application and we want to integrate payment system or feature into our application, what we can do is we can integrate Paystack in our application, and then they are going to help us to kind of send or receive money anywhere from the world, right? So you can click on login or create an account depending on your state. If you're a first time user, you can go ahead and click on create an account, but if you already have an account, you can just log in, right? All right, so once you've successfully logged in, you are going to be navigated to this particular dashboard, right? Which is supposed to look similar to mine. Yeah, I think this is what you are not supposed to see there because you don't have any activities ongoing for now, right? So once you are here, you can click on this arrow and then click on add business to kind of add your own business. You are just supposed to fill these forms. Once you are done, you should head back to the dashboard. Now let's go to settings at the right, the left corner here. So once I click on settings, it takes me to this particular page, and then we click on API keys and webhooks. Okay, so it takes you to this page and you get to see some live key, public keys, and also the test keys. So we are going to use our test keys since we are in a testing mode. So if you could see at the top here, I'm in a testing mode, so I can just use this test key for testing purpose, right? So I'm just going to click on this eye icon here, and then I can now copy my secret key. Okay, And once we are done, we can just head over back to our code editor. Okay, so I'm just going to paste it down here, and then now let's proceed. So there are two packages that we have to install. Okay, and one of them is the React Native Paystack web view. Okay, and then the second one is React Native web view. So we are going to install these two packages. So first we can install, or we are supposed to type in npm install React Native Paystack web view. Okay, and then you can bring -- save. You're supposed to press enter after that to install this package for you. All right, so we are done installing our React Native Paystack web view. The next thing to install is React Native web view. Okay, so I'm going to press enter to install that one as well. Great. So once we are done, let's head over back here, and then let's close or stop our server by just pressing Ctrl+C. And then now we are going to start it again by typing in npm run start. All right, so our bundler is ready. Since we've already opened it on our Expo Go, we can just go ahead and click on it, the name on Expo Go, to load it again for us. Okay, so I'm just going to bring this terminal down, minimize it a bit, and then we can start the implementation. Okay, so the first thing that we will need to import is Paystack provider. So we are going to wrap this provider around our entire application. Okay, so I'm going to install or import. All right, so in here we can get our Paystack provider. Great. So we are just going to wrap our entire application around it. So Paystack provider. Then I'm going to bring this one down here. There are a couple of props that we will need to pass in here. So if you want the debug mode, you can add a debug mode for now, right? And then you can add a public key. And then here we are going to pass in the key that we copied from our Paystack application. So I'm going to paste in that here. You can pass in the currency as well. So currency, and then you are going to pass in, I'm a Ghanaian, so I'm just going to pass in our currency. And then you can now go ahead and pass in or define the default channels that you will need. So I'm going to say default channels. Okay. And these default channels basically are the payment method that you want. So we can use card and also mobile money. Great. I think these two are fine, right? And then we can now go ahead and save our application. All right, so here we come. Now we have the error I was talking about initially, right? And most people, once they get to this section, they find it difficult to proceed. And then when they head to forums and other communities, the solutions that they provide them are tedious, and some even doesn't work, right? But now this is the main issue. Let me point it out really quick. When we start our second bundler, or when we started our bundler for the second time, we got this error message or a warning, right? Which says the React Native web view, our current version is 13.13.5, right? But the expected version is 13.8.6, right? So this is the current version that we are supposed to install. Until we do that, trust me, we are going to face this error again. So I'm just going to go back again, and I'm going to install React Web View again. But this time around, I'm going to add the version to it, so at 13.6. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open our package.json and then locate web view. So as you can see, we have 13.13.5 here. Okay. So let's install the new version or the preferred version. All right, so once you are done, you could see now we have a newer version here. So not newer, but the preferred version. So 13.8.6, and I think now the error should be dealt with. So let me save that. So now when I reload my application, you could see now everything is working. So the next thing we are going to do is actually start with the payments implementation. So I'm just going to say const, and then I'm going to use a hook that Paystack provides us. So Paystack webhook. So Paystack hook, and then we are getting it from our React Native Paystack web view. Okay, and then this inside it we have pop-up. So this is basically going to initiate or start our payment process for us. Okay, and then I'm going to create a function and I'm going to call it pay now. So what this function is supposed to do is it's supposed to pop up we are going to have a window. Okay, so this payment function is supposed to trigger that window where it gets to pop up on our application, and then Paystack can take it from there. Once the process is done, now this function we are going to define what should happen after that process in the same function. Okay, so I'm just going to say pop up, and then it has two functions in there. We have the checkout and then the new transaction, and then we are going to start or stick with the new transaction. Inside here we are supposed to pass in a couple of things. One of the things that we need to provide here is the email. So here we can pass in, let's say Chris at gmail.com. Okay, and then we are going to pass in an amount. So these things are key things that we need to pass in, and after that we can add reference. Okay, so this reference has to be unique from each transaction that we make. So I'm going to say let me concatenate it and then generate it based on the time. So I'm just going to say date.now. Okay, so anytime you get new reference token. Okay, then we are going to provide on success function. So with this function, basically we define what should happen after the payment goes through successfully in here. So I'm just going to say going to log, so console log right here. So I'm going to console log and say success. Okay, and I think we can get some information here. So res, and this one we should make it an async so that we wait for the process to finish before we proceed. Okay, and then here we have uncancelled. So once the user cancels the process, this gets triggered. Okay, so here we can see console log, and then we can see user cancelled. And then now let's proceed to the next one, which is on error. So when there is any error, we get to see this. So I'm just going to make this one really quick. This one also takes in a parameter, so let me just do this one really quick. So web view error, and then here we can pass in the error. Okay, same as the last thing I would like to add is on load. So once the web view loads, okay, we get this. So I'm just going to say console log again. I'm just repeating this thing right here. Okay, and I'm going to say web view loaded. I can bring this one up, right? And since this one we are doing one thing here, we can also make it just an arrow. Great, and let's save this. Okay, so I'm getting a message here which says use Paystack must be used within the Paystack provider. Oh, okay. So we will have to create a component for that. Okay. And okay, let me come here. Let me create a folder and then name it components. Okay. And then in here, I'm going to say payments.js. Here, I'm just going to say const payments equals oh my god, so the extension I got it wrong. So .js, great. So in here we can now return our view. Okay, then in here we can just add some text message here, say hello. Let's export it. So we are going to export it as default. We're going to pass in the payment right here. And then what we are going to do is we are going to cut everything here. Okay, so this hook we are trying to use, we are supposed to use it inside the provider, and then we wrap the provider around this. Okay, so it means we should bring it here. Okay, and then let's import the use Paystack here. I'm going to save it, and then I'll come down here and then probably remove this from here. I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to say payments, so from our components folder. Okay, so I'm going to render it that one here, and then let me come here, replace this with what I cut there. Okay, so back to square one again. Now we can proceed. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a button here, and with this button I'm going to say make payment. Okay, the button takes in an on press. Is it on press? Okay, I don't know why I'm not getting suggestions, but anyways, let's proceed. So pay now. Oh no, let me copy this, let me save it. Okay, so the button must have a title, which I place it right here. So let me just bring it here, title. Let me save it. Okay, so as you can see, we have our button which says make payment. Now we are going to proceed by clicking on the button, and let's see what happens. Before that, let me pull up my terminal. Once I click on it, okay, as you can see, we have some logs in here. So because we are using we specify debug as a prop, we kind of get all the activities that happens right here as well. Okay, and then we got some error which says please enter valid key. What do you mean by enter valid key? Okay, so there is a typo here, so public key, right? Now let's go again. So this is the reason why I added the debug, to make debugging easier for us. Okay, so I'm going to input make payments again, and as you see, we have web view load start, web view load ends. Valid key again, really? Okay, let's go back, right? And then let's use this public key instead of the secret key. Okay, so I'm going to copy this public key, bring it here. Okay, and I'm going to paste it right there. If it doesn't work again, then let's click on it. So it's on my physical device as well, and as you can see, we have our Paystack web view loaded fully, right? We have two two payment methods right there, the card, which is pay with card, and then the second one is pay with mobile money, right? So when I click on pay with mobile money, it takes me to this page where I get to select my provider and then click on confirm. Once I'm done, click on OK. Great. And then as you can see in our logs, we got success. So which is the console log that we did here. We can actually console log what is in the rest. I mean, what we are getting as a return prop or parameter. So let's start again. Great. And then I'm going to select. Okay. Then once I click on OK, wow, I get a bunch of things here. We can actually look into them. So we have a message, right? Which one should I? Okay, we have a message which says approve. We have a redirect URL, which is this one. We have a reference. We got that. We have status success, trans that, and then transaction ID and this, right? So this is the data that we get after the payment is done successfully. Okay, so from there you can actually proceed or do whatever that you want to do after the payment process is successful. Okay, and I think this is going to be the end of this video, right? So what we've basically done is we've been able to implement our payment functionality in our application using these few lines of code, right? I mean, the most challenging part, which if not come across this video, is going to be your nightmare, is the issue that has to do with the incompatibility between the web view, the React Native web view, and then the React Native Paystack web view, right? Once you are able to resolve that, I think it's a straightforward implementation. All you need to do is wrap your entire application with a Paystack provider. Okay, so you go ahead and then pass in your public key, the currency, and then your default channels, right? And with your default channels, you have to make sure you enable them on your application as well. So when you go to I think is it let's go to accounts and see. Okay, not accounts, yeah, preferences. So as you can see, I've ticked card, mobile money, Apple Pay here, right? So you have to enable them before the transaction can go through successfully. Okay, and once you are done with that, you create or in your payment screen or components, what you have to do is you initialize your use hook, right, or your Paystack hook, and then in here, one of the objects that you get, you can tap into a function which is called new transaction, and then you pass in these props, right? And then once you pass in these fields, you are good to go. All you need to do is call this function. It's going to trigger the pop-up web view for you, and then once the transaction is done successfully, this callback gets triggered, okay, and everything inside it will be run. Yeah, I think basically that is it for this video, and thanks for watching this video. If you really enjoyed this video, kindly click on the subscribe button, like this video, share the video with friends, right? You can also watch out or look for other videos. We have a couple of interesting videos on our channel. You can check them out. If you're interested in AI, we have AI videos. If you're interested in front end, which has to do with web development, we have video on that. If you are interested in knowing details about React hooks, we covered that as well. Okay, we are also currently on a Node.js backend series. You can check that one out as well. If you're interested in more videos on React Native, we got you here as well. I mean, we have a couple of tons of videos in here, which you can check them out at your own time. And see you in the next video. Happy coding.